Here I am at the Plain of Jars. It's a beautiful day for the first time in a while, and this place is amazing. There's just hundreds and hundreds of these jars that were built in the 5th century BC, I believe. Nobody knows why. Nobody even knows how. It's like Stonehenge. They're all filled with gross water. But yeah, they're 2,500 years old, and they're amazing looking. There's so many. Hundreds of them. I love it here. And there's not too many people. There are some people. I don't have the place to myself. But it's very bizarre. It's like something out of a fantasy film. And there's just so many, I can't get over it. There's hundreds of them. And again, nobody knows what they were for. They think maybe they were used for burials, or they think maybe they were used for some kind of religious thing. But I think burials is the most likely option. That's what most archaeologists believe, is that they were used in burials. But how they were made, how they got here, why there were so many, and this is only site 1. There are 3. So I'm going to go to all 3 today, and I think this one has the most, but I don't know if this is the most beautiful or the most interesting. We'll see. I'm in probably the 100th cave of my journey, maybe more. I've been to so many caves. There's hundreds. Whenever there's limestone, there's tons of caves. And there's tons of limestone in Vietnam and Laos. And Cambodia too. But this is a cool little cave. It's got a opening at the top. Water's dripping down. It's very peaceful. I like it. There's also a ton of these bomb craters all over the place, because, of course, the Plain of Jars, just like everywhere else in Laos, was heavily bombed during what's called the Secret War, according to the CIA, and according to the Lao, it's called the Lao Civil War, and according to the Vietnamese, it's called the American War. But anyway, during that war, America bombed everything. Laos is the most bombed country per capita in the world, because it only has a population of like 3 million or less, and they got bombed an unbelievable amount because of the Ho Chi Minh Trail and because of their support for North Vietnam and all this other stuff. Even though Laos was supposed to be officially neutral in the Vietnam War, America bombed the crap out of it. And there's still a whole bunch of unexploded bombs all over the place. And it's really embarrassing to be American here, because my country has a lot to answer for in this region. Some are definitely in better condition than others. And some have lids. Not many. Apparently, they think maybe all of them had lids. Just some were made with perishable materials like wood instead of stone. I actually love it when this happens, when trees grow through man-made objects. I think it looks so cool. That's why I like the Tomb Raider temple near Angkor Wat. That's why I liked the stairs in Wat Phu in southern Laos. I just love it when nature kind of like takes it back. It's awesome. I've been hiking for about 5 minutes. It's not far, but I'm way far away from the rest of the jars, and now I'm on the top of a hill, and there's still jars. Randomly broken ones, intact ones. There's still a few. still a few here and there everywhere. It's awesome. It also helps that not only are these jars really cool, they're also set in a very beautiful agricultural landscape with rolling hills and some mountains in the distance, which is nice. If they're in the middle of a city, it might not be as nice, but as it is, this is a great little spot. Cool, so that was Plain of Jars 1. It was nice. There were tons of jars, which was awesome. But apparently this is also the most touristy because it's the closest to town. So I am heading on to Plain of Jars 2 next, which is further away from town. I'm hoping that there will be less people. This one wasn't crowded or anything. I just like having places like this to myself. And so yeah, I'm getting on the motorcycle that I rented, and I'm going to head to Plain of Jars 2. See you there. So, Plain of Jars 2. And I was right, this one is definitely way less touristy. There's only 3 people here, and it's less of a plain of jars and much more of like a forest of jars. There's also tons of mosquitoes. It's very serene, despite the mosquitoes. It's very serene, very beautiful, very quiet, which is very nice, because the other one's a little bit too touristy for my liking. So I'm going to brave the mosquitoes, and I'm going to try and walk around. There's paths that go all over the place, so I'm going to try to do a big loop. Maybe I'll get lost, maybe I won't. Hopefully it doesn't start to rain. It has been threatening all day, but we'll see. I'm getting eaten alive, but I think it'll be worth it. It's crazy to think that that jar was there before that tree. That jar is 2,500 years old, and that tree is maybe a couple hundred tops. So that jar was there when all of history happened, when Jesus was around, during the Crusades, during the Angkor Wat Empire, during, the conquest of America. Everything happened. This jar was in this exact place. And then 100 years ago, 200 years ago, this tree showed up and changed this jar's fate finally, after 2,000 years. It's just amazing. It's mind-blowing to think about that kind of stuff. So most of them are grouped together, but every now and then you see one completely by itself, like this guy. It's interesting. I wonder, obviously this one fell over, but did it fall all the way down the hill? Why is it there? Why isn't it with all the other ones? Why is this one by itself? I don't know, man. I'm not sure anybody does. I love how mysterious this place is. Like, even the archaeologists, they don't know how they were made. They don't know what they were for. I love that. I love that it's a mystery to everybody. It's so cool. I love ancient mysteries like that. Like Stonehenge, like how the fuck was that built? Or the pyramids, that kind of thing. It's just awesome. Like, little ancient curiosities. I find them very interesting. So this is what I was talking about. Most of the jars are all in groups. So there's like dozens all in one spot. And there's one, and there's a lid on the ground. I don't know which one that originally belonged to, but there's dozens of them here. All on the top of a beautiful hillside in the middle of rural Laos. Some of them have been damaged, probably by America, or just time. There's another lid. But really, really cool, interesting things. I really enjoy putting my hand on it. You probably shouldn't do it because you have oils on your hand, but when I have my hand on something this old, it makes me feel like I'm a part of the history. It makes me connect much better to the ancient people that made these. Even though we don't know who they are, and I have no, actual connection with them, touching the history and feeling the history makes me feel like I'm a part of the history, and it makes me connect to the history. And I really, really appreciate that feeling. And here we've got another huge bomb crater. left over from American bombing. Somewhat depressing. Luckily, all 3 Plain of Jars sites have been cleared of unexploded ordnances by the Lao government in conjunction with the New Zealand government, which is kind of random. I don't know why America didn't clean up all the unexploded ordnances. You would think that's something that we should do after we carpet bombed the entire fucking country, but America doesn't like to admit when it's wrong. There's a big fence right there, so I guess this path leads to nothing. It's easy. It made my decision for me. Now I know which way I'm supposed to go, because if the path leads to a fence, definitely not on the right path. So I just got invited to lunch by a friendly family. I wouldn't say invited. They just asked me if I wanted some food, and it was just a restaurant. But the cost of the meal was 30,000 kip, like $350. And I thought that I had no money, and I was like, "Oh fuck, I have no money. Oh fuck." And then suddenly I found 100K buried in my wallet, invisible. But this is very beautiful. I always love bamboo bridges like this. They're just so cool. Over very brown water and beautiful rice paddies in the distance. So apparently I'm at Plain of Jars 3, but I don't see it anywhere. It's okay because it's a beautiful area, but I really don't know where I'm supposed to be going. But, you know, there's worse places to not know where you're supposed to be going. Rice paddies just look so beautiful, especially in the wet season when they are super green and beautiful. I just adore them. Yeah, so I don't care if I'm in the right place. So it started raining. I'm at jar site 3. I finally found it. I had to walk through some crazy rice fields to get here, but it's pretty awesome, I gotta say. It's raining, but the rain gives it an ethereal, mysterious, otherworldly kind of quality, which I really appreciate. It's just so weird and old and mysterious and gorgeous, and I just love it. It was worth the 6-hour bus ride to get here. This is such an amazing thing. I don't even know what you call it. This landscape? No. Feature, I guess. Ancient feature. You know, it's like Stonehenge, only much smaller. But honestly, I think it's as impressive as Stonehenge. I've been to Stonehenge, and I like this just as much because there's so many of these things. There's hundreds, maybe even thousands of them, and they're all hewn from solid rock, and they're all 2,500 years old, maybe even more. We don't know who built them, we don't know where they came from, we don't know how they built them. All these questions, we don't know what they were for. I know I've said it before, but it's just so awesome. It's so weird. It's so fascinating. They're in all various stages of decay. There's one over here that's straight up just in the side of a hill. See that one? Which I'm sure makes a really, really dope little house for like a rabbit or a snake or something. But they're just so awesome. I just can't get enough of them. If I lived nearby, I would hang out here all the time to like reflect and write. And I don't know, it's amazing. I really, really like them. I'm sure some people would find this kind of thing really boring, but being the kind of person that I am, I do not find this kind of thing boring. I find this kind of thing absolutely fascinating. So I'm really happy I came. It was amazing. So like I said, we don't know exactly what these jars were used for. The leading theory is that they were used in burial practices. Basically, people 1,500 years ago would take a dead body from the community and put it in the jar to decompose. Then they would take it out, like months later, and bury it elsewhere. So the jars weren't used specifically for like permanent burials. They were used as like almost a composter
for bodies. At least that's what they think. They have found human remains in like the sides of these jars, but that's just theory because obviously it was so long ago. We don't have written records or anything like that. It's all just kind of a guess. But I like all of this kind of stuff because archaeology is really cool. It's a very interesting field, and I've always been interested in it. My degree is in history, but I took a bunch of archaeology classes, and I always really enjoyed them. And so seeing a place like this that's archaeology basically come to life, and I really like that because you can go to the pyramids, you can go to Greece, you can go to Turkey and see excavations, but a place like this with no one around, it's like you're in Indiana Jones. It's so freaking cool. I absolutely love it.